We have 5 attendees till now. We have Akash in the house, Akshay, Avri, Sumit, Arvind. Let's wait for next 2 minutes so that all the attendees can join. And for your information, Rohini, we are also live on YouTube as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah. We have Akshay, Aksa, we have Sandeep. We have 12 attendees till now. Let's wait next 1 more minute. We have Mohammed Kashif. We have Shrikant. So after 3 minutes, we have 17 attendees. Rohini, should we wait for next 1 more minute?
Yes, sure, we can.
Okay, thank you.
So all those who have joined, a very warm welcome this evening. We're just waiting for another 30 seconds before we start our webinar. I hope you can all hear me clearly. And my name is Rohini Razdan, and we'll start in just about another 20 seconds as soon as Tushar here gives us the go ahead.
Sure.
And I do hope that it will be a very interesting session, and all of you can feel free to ask whatever doubts or questions you have. In fact, you can write your queries as I speak in the chat window, and I will address all your queries at the end of the session.
So Rohini
Request
is
you not to interrupt me in between the PPT, but I will definitely address all your doubts and queries at the end. Over to you, Tushar.
Thank you so much, Rohini. So Rohini, we have 18 attendees till now, and it's 4 minutes. So shall we start?
Sure.
Thank you so much. So very good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar session brought to you by Shiksha Study Abroad. In this session, we will talk about how to create a winning MS application. And we have Rohini in the house for this webinar, and she has 10 years of experience in the study abroad editorial section, right? And before we move further, I would like to request all the attendees kindly put your question on the Q&A section, and those who want to ask the question directly to Miss Rohini, they can click on the raise hand button on the screen. We will unmute you in the end of section so that you can ask directly question to the Rohini. So Rohini, now it's up to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tushar. Good evening again, all of you. A very warm welcome. We have some more participants now. I'm just starting the session on how to create a winning MS application. All of you who have joined are probably aspirants for an MS degree and you want to create a winning application, and we have come to get some tips and tricks through this session. So let's not waste any time and let's go ahead with it. As I said, my name is Rohini. I'm the manager editorial for Shiksha Study Abroad. I have been in the editing business for about 20 years, with 10 years specifically in the study abroad domain. I will be trying to guide you through the SOP and resume and LOR preparation today. As you probably all know that Shiksha Study Abroad is India's #1 study abroad website. We have shared information on our website for 56 countries, 2,136 universities, 70,000 plus courses, and scholarships, which are over 2,000. It is India's largest website with over 460,000 registered students. Let's start with the topic for today, the components of an MS application. An MS application consists of an MS or academic resume, 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, a statement of purpose or a personal statement, and sometimes in some programs like MS in Business Analytics or MS in Marketing, they also have specific essay requirements, just like they have for an MBA application. Let's look at some of the MS academic resume points to remember. It should be up to 2 pages in length. You should use reverse chronological order for all sections. The points should be concise and factual. Try and use a font like Times New Roman 14 points for the name and 11-point size for the text. Always write in bullet points in a resume. Use standard font sizes and fonts. Always try and stick to serif fonts because they read easily when you upload on the links for the universities. Always use justified alignment and use different font sizes and bold to create, specific sections which are easy to read and interesting to look at. Let us look at some other things when we are talking about an MS resume. Always avoid graphics of any sort. Avoid vertical or horizontal lines, boxes, or columns. When using bullets, avoid special characters such as arrows or check marks. Avoid hanging words in a sentence, which means don't have just one word hanging over in a sentence. Try and stick to bullet points that are either 1 or 2 lines long and not more than that. Never write in the paragraph style in a resume. Always remember to proofread your resume not once but several times before you upload your document. Keep date ranges on the same line. Never have the date carrying over to the next line. It creates a very haphazard appearance. And list dates in years and maintain uniformity by keeping all of them on the same resume line. Here are some typical errors that we as editors often find in resumes that come to us. So I thought I would share that with you so that you can avoid that in your resumes. Avoid having fonts which are too small. Avoid spelling mistakes, repetitive words, forgetting dates, an unprofessional email ID, cluttered information, including personal information, using abbreviations or contractions, or an inconsistent layout. These are the kind of errors that, make a resume look haphazard, not crisp. And of course, it also doesn't hold the reader's attention if it doesn't have a nice layout. Letter of recommendation. Why is the LOR important? Now, when I cover the next few slides, you will realize that many of you had put up some questions when you had registered, and I have tried to cover most of those questions through the next few slides. Why is the LOR important? An LOR is considered one of the most important documents of an applicant studying abroad, as it is a third-party endorsement. It is the only document where a third party talks about you. It is not written by you. That is why it is considered a fair judgment of your profile. LORs portray your client's personality, competence, attitude, and passion from another person's perspective. They supplement the SOP or the essay, and hence they need to be authentic. Who is the right recommender? Oftentimes we are asked this question by our students as to who is the right recommender. Here is some advice that the Stanford Graduate Business School has given about who can be the right recommender. Choose individuals who know you well and who will take the time to write a thorough and detailed letter with specific anecdotes and examples. The strongest references will demonstrate your leadership potential and personal qualities. We are impressed by what the letter says and how it reads, and not by the title of the person who writes it. Remember, this advice has come from none other than the Stanford Graduate School of Business, and hence, being a top business school, we must take such advice seriously. So who is the right recommender? Candidates should choose individuals who have had significant direct involvement with them within the last few years. They should obviously like them, and they should be in a position to talk well about them. The recommender can address more than one criterion like intellectual ability, skill set, leadership potential, maturity, ethics, research aptitude, analytical ability, and or team building prowess, among other qualities. The candidate should choose individuals who can address specific issues through appropriate examples. This is extremely important. Without examples, an LOR loses its meaning, it loses its ability to have an impact. So always provide specific examples which are particular to that recommender. That is a make or break for a good LOR. Now, who can write an academic LOR? Academic LORs can be written by the following people: a professor, ideally related to the applicant's subject of interest or the program that he or she is applying to. If needed, an LOR can be written by a project guide or an internship supervisor or the head of an NGO, by the head of the department, though ideally it should be avoided if the HOD does not know the applicant very well or has not taught the applicant any subject. Then we should avoid the HOD recommendation. What is a statement of purpose? This is a question that many of you have asked as to what is a SOP and how to deal with it. An SOP is an essay that reflects your personality, which you portray in front of the admission committee or the ADCOM to get enrolled into foreign universities. It is your chance to impress the ADCOM by presenting your profile strongly through an essay that describes your personality traits. Sometimes that is not something that is not covered in your academic document. It is an essay stating the purpose of applying to a particular course at a particular university. This essay consists of a gist of who you are, what you want to become, what your interests are, what you have done to further these interests. The document seeks to understand the candidate's life, his or her motivations for a chosen career path, and his or her post-program career goals. Hence, you should discuss the past incidents that have influenced your career path in a specific domain, wherein you aspire to grow by joining a course or a college. So how important is the SOP? The SOP is the single most important subjective document in your application. Why do we say that? Because the SOP is the only document that conveys your personal voice and perspective to the admission committee. It is the only document that gives you the opportunity to talk about your goals, motivations, and future potential. This can make or break your chances of an admit. It is the only document that shows your passion for and your commitment towards your field of interest. It explains the stories behind the facts or experiences that are presented through your resume and your scores, like average or low scores, change of field or switching of careers, challenges that you have overcome to achieve results or goals, or your motivation behind each academic or personal choice. That is why it is considered such an important document and given so much of importance by various universities, irrespective of their ranking worldwide. So let us look at some other aspects that make the SOP so important. It gives you the opportunity to show your alignment with the university's ideologies, academic research focus, and culture to establish the critical university fit. We always tell students that it's very important to create a fit between what the university is looking for and what you are offering to the university. That is what we mean by the university fit. It reveals your personality, clarity of thought, focus, and characteristic strengths that will be relevant to the program. It demonstrates your communication skills, which is a very important criterion for university admissions. Thus, the SOP conveys your uniqueness, strengths, and fit, helping you stand out from the crowd as an ideal applicant. A well-written SOP is critical to your admission. Of course, there are many aspects of a candidate's application that are inspected before finalizing a decision. While the academic record and examination scorecards or transcripts and backlog certificates are essentially objective in nature, and SOP is the only subjective aspect of your application. Moreover, it is the only document that gives you the opportunity to prove that you are something unique, which makes you stand out from other applicants. The quality of your SOP can hugely influence your admission prospects. That is why we say a good SOP is a clinching factor when a university has to decide, say, between two profiles which are similar or two applicants with similar backgrounds. There, the university finds the SOP as the clinching factor, where the better SOP sometimes gets the chance rather than the better applicant even. It is the SOP that impresses the AdCom. Now let us look at goals. What are goals? You all know what are post-program goals, where you discuss your career prospects and plans for the future. The SOP is essentially a goals essay. Never forget that if you are drafting your application. The word purpose in the statement of purpose actually means goals. Hence, the goals are the most critical aspect of an SOP. Therefore, you must give them the due importance in your SOP to make it a winning SOP. What do colleges look for in an SOP? This is also a question that I'm often asked, and I was also asked by several students who registered for this webinar. While drafting your SOP, you need to keep in mind that the AdCom will be reviewing thousands of applications for the same course. So your SOP needs to be crisp and precise. It should also highlight your uniqueness. They look at writing capability. This is reflected in your SOP. It should be free from grammatical errors. The language should be lucid or clear enough for them to comprehend what you want to say. Use good vocabulary, but make sure not to use too many difficult words. Sometimes too many big words make the sentence seem redundant. It fails to communicate the meaning or make an impact which you are trying to do. They're looking for uniqueness of a profile. What makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd? Highlight your uniqueness. The ADCOM should be able to recognize you as an individual through your SOP. Your interests and goals will help them get to know you on a personal level. They also want to understand how you will contribute with your talent, your previous experiences, and interest. How and what you can contribute to their department and university as a whole. Think of it as a two-way process. If you receive admission, your career will get a kickstart. And through your efforts and participation, their department or college will also benefit. You need to mention how you will be able to contribute to their community, be it through sports, community service, societies or clubs, and so on. Another thing they are looking for is why you have chosen their particular university. Being familiar with the university's facilities, the curriculum, and the faculty will help you a great deal. You need to be aware of the students, student programs, faculty members' names, internship opportunities, student facilities, and societies, and or traditions of the university that set it apart from others. The ADCOM should be convinced that you know about the department and the college or university thoroughly. And that is why you are applying to it, and not that it is one of your random choices. The next thing that the college is looking for is why you have chosen that specific course. Your motivation or inspiration to study a selected course should be clear, evident, and justified. The ADCOM does not approve of you bragging in an SOP. So keep it original, real, and free from any overbearing or arrogant statements. Always keep it real, keep it crisp, and keep it short. That will help you stand out. This again is a very important thing because a lot of students are clueless about how much to write, what to write, and how to write. So what is the ideal length of an SOP? An SOP should be 1 or 2 pages in length. They should be written in 800 to 1000 words unless specified otherwise by a particular university. However, the length of the document will vary from university to university and sometimes even course to course depending on what is asked. Some colleges or universities specify a fixed length and pattern for the SOP, such as 500 words only or 1 page only. Otherwise, most of the universities, however, accept a generic SOP of about 800 to 1000 words. If for any reason you have a lot of experience to discuss and you are exceeding the 1000-word limit, do not definitely exceed the 2-page or the 1200-word limit. Always stick to 2 pages. The only exception usually is a PhD SOP, where an applicant has a lot of research work to discuss. Otherwise, always stick to 2 pages within 1000 words. Another question asked by a lot of students is, should I explain my low grades in my SOP? Now, what is the answer to that? You should avoid mentioning any low marks or shortcomings about yourself in any of the application documents, including the SOP. There are very few universities that ask you about your SOP, about your gap year. For them, you can mention the reason for the gap between your studies. Generally, no university asks specifically about low grades during your study period, as your selection depends on various criteria like exam scores, student profile, financials, and so on. Thus, it is advised against mentioning such flaws or low marks. Now, here are some strategies to write a powerful and convincing SOP. Whether applying for any program, undergraduate, graduate, or postgraduate programs, the strategy of writing a powerful SOP is to sound focused. Starting from your academic and professional background to your career aspirations, you need to carefully connect all the dots between reaching your goals through your choice of school and course. The essay should always go in flow, should be written in chronological order, covering your past experience, present involvements, and future plans. An important point to remember while writing your SOP is to divide it into paragraphs that cover all these pointers. Please remember that one of the most important things to writing an effective SOP is to avoid generics. Always stick to specifics. Don't write information that they already know or something that can be found on Google or something that is already there on their website. There's no point telling them something they already know. Tell them something about yourself that they do not know about. That will take your application one step further. There's no point telling them the courses they offer. Tell them which courses you want to apply for, or which electives you want to choose, or which professors you want to study with. Don't tell them things that they already know. These are some strategies to writing a powerful and convincing SOP. While discussing SOPs, let's look at some do's and don'ts. First, the do's: check for continuity and flow. Be sure to customize the document as per the program and the university. Look at the learning goals, include subspecialties. They must coincide with the university and the program offerings. Your research interests must match the ongoing work happening at the university. Look at the skills required for the intended program and try and convey those convincingly in your profile. What are the don'ts? Don't mention SAT, GMAT, GRE or TOEFL scores or your college scores, though ranks can be mentioned. If you are a rank holder, you can mention that. Don't use too many strong and meaningful adjectives. Avoid words like meaningful, beautiful, challenging, rewarding, etc. Stick to the facts. Stick to the specific. Don't use overly common phrases or non-specific content. Don't copy from anywhere. Don't copy from any available samples or templates. Remember, plagiarism is a legal offense. It can result in a reject. It can result in a university barring you not just for 1 year, but maybe 5 years or forever. So remember that plagiarism is an offense, and do not, try any kinds of plagiarism. Don't use quotes, because A, you need to be original and quotes are by someone else. B, quotes can sometimes get stuck in a flag check or a plagiarism check. So avoid quotes from anywhere. The SOP should be an original document written by you and about you. So therefore, always stick to specific information about yourself. Let's look at some factors where we compare the SOP with the resume. The SOP is focused on academic and research aptitude, where you talk about your approach, your mindset, your motivations and passions. Talk about analytical ability, how you are quick to grasp concepts, quick to develop ideas, how you are a problem solver, how you are a leader, etc. It should talk about learning and growth through taking initiatives and overcoming challenges. You should talk about your goals, ambitions, and dreams. And remember, an SOP is a subjective document. On the other hand, the resume is talking about academic and research experience, projects, internships, industrial trainings, etc. It gives knowledge of technical and analytical tools that you may possess, procedure followed, results achieved, and only focuses on your past experiences. Never talk about things that you are planning to do or going to do in the resume. Always stick to things that you have completed, or at the most, things that are ongoing. And remember that the resume is an objective document. So in brief, the resume tells us what, the SOP explains why and how. that brings us to the presentation end, and we will look at now questions or any doubts that all of you may have about this presentation and applications in general. So we will look at questions one by one. Tushar, can I take your help now? And if you can look at if you could read out the questions in order, one by one, and we can then answer them for our audience.
Right. So thank you so much, Rohini, for this wonderful session. Before we start taking the question, I would request all the attendees, please click on the raise hand button. Those who want to ask their doubts or question directly to Rohini, or they can post their question on the Q&A section so that we can take all the questions. So we have our first question from Sushma. Sushma, you can unmute yourself so that you can ask the question. Ask a question directly to Rohini.
Tushar, shall we take the questions already sent on chat first?
Yeah, we can take, but after that, before those who want to directly talk to you, we can start with them. Yeah.
Sure.
Sushma, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Sushma.
Yeah, my question was.
Sushma, your voice is not clear.
I'm an electrical undergraduate.
Sushma, your voice is. Sushma, hold on, please. Your voice is not clear.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better now. Better now.
Yeah, actually, I'm an electrical undergraduate. So I want to pursue masters in computer science. So I want to shift my branch. So what are my resume and SOP prerequisites so that I can get into a good university?
So university selection, of course, will be done by the counseling team, and you can always contact our numbers, and basically a counselor will get back to you and answer your counseling related queries. I can answer your application related query, which is that when a student, this applies to anybody who wants to change his field or subject. Essentially, the format for the resume and SOP remains the same. The only difference is that in the SOP, your motivational story must be very convincing, and you should be able to convince the ADCOM as to why you want to change your subject, or why you want to have a shift in stream. There should be a logical reason and a believable reason for doing so. It could be an interest that you develop through an internship, an interest that you develop while at the workplace where you are presently working, or any other reason. But it should come in the introduction itself of the SOP, and what we refer to as the motivational story, or the trigger to your motivation, must very clearly emphasize why you are changing your stream or your subject or field. The rest of the format of the resume and the SOP remains the same, Sushma.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And with regard to counseling, it does not affect your chances of an admit. Details about counseling, you can call the toll-free numbers mentioned on our website, and you will immediately get a request back. When you request a call, you will get a call back from one of our trained counselors.
Sushma, do you have any other question?
No, that's only my concern. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for answering. Thank you so much.
Let's take one question from the chat window, Tushar. The first question is from Mohammed Kashif. Mohammed Kashif wants to know the minimum CGPA in UG. Kashif, this is a hugely, diverse spectrum. It depends from destination to destination, university to university, and course to course. Top ranked universities obviously will expect higher CGPAs and higher scores in TOEFL, etc. And lower ranked universities will look for a lower CGPA. So there is no fixed CGPA that I can actually, I cannot give you a number. It depends on what course, what program, and what university you are applying to, and what destination you are applying to.
Thank you so much, Rohini. So we have another student who want to speak with you. Anuradha, can you unmute yourself so that you can ask your question directly to Rohini?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, Anirudh, you're audible.
So, ma'am, I'm from CS background only, but
Okay.
I've been working in Cognizant from past 7 months.
Okay.
So, बस training ही चल रहा है. मतलब अभी I'm deployed to a project, but it's not related to the field I'm trying to go. I'm planning to go to data science.
Okay. What is your
But
question?
I've done my projects in machine learning and AI. I'm doing personal projects on machine learning and AI now as well. So, how should I present my SOP?
See, honestly, Anirudh, you have to present the relevant projects. So the idea is that if you have some work experience and which you can show in CS, try and highlight that more if your projects are not relevant. If your projects are more relevant than your work experience, focus more on the projects. The idea is to talk about relevant experience. In fact, when you're applying to any university abroad, Anirudh, they are not even interested in which university you went to or which top-notch school that you studied at. They just want to see relevant experience in the subject of your choice. What is your knowledge base? What have you learned through your projects, not what projects you have done?
Okay.
What is your learning from your work experience? What is the knowledge that you have gained from the projects? So basically, you have to be very judicious when you are making your application and try and downplay the less relevant, information and highlight the more relevant ones. So whether it is in the workplace or whether it is in the academic background, try and be judicious and wise and choose the more relevant details and discuss those more than the ones which are less relevant.
So, ma'am, the answer is I need to focus more on the subject which I'm applying to and show what I've learned.
Yes. So when you are focusing on the subject, if you are able to show relevant things happening at the workplace, focus on the workplace. If you can show better projects and more relevant information in CS through your academic background, focus on that.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you so much, Anirudh, for your question.
Yeah. Next question is from the chat window, Tushar.
So we have few questions in the Q&A section, Rohini.
Okay.
So we will start taking those questions. So the first question from Palak: what would be an ideal SOP should be look like?
Okay. Palak, that's a good question. The ideal MS SOP or even an MA SOP should be 1.5 to 2 pages in length within 1000 words. It should be broken up into separate paras, each para covering a different topic. I will give you a very brief overview. The first para should be an introduction to your motivation, followed by academic background and your practical exposure through projects or internships. Then you should talk about your work experience, if any, followed by why you want to pursue that particular program, why you have chosen that particular university, and then move on to detailing with great specifics your post-program career goals. As you would have seen in the presentation, SOP is essentially a goals essay. So the goals must be in great detail with proper specific details. You can talk about any extracurricular activities or community service that you have done at the end, and then summarize your essay with a nice and short, crisp conclusion. This is what a good SOP looks like. Keep it crisp and keep it specific. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Rohini. We have another question from Atang. Things to consider in drafting the gap section in SOP.
I think, Athang, I've already answered this question in one of my slides. Gaps need not be covered in the SOP unless specifically asked for. However, always try and create a resume where gaps are explained. So there should be no unanswered questions in the minds of the ADCOM. If you have completed your degree, say in 2018, You should be able to explain what you have been doing since 2018. Whether you are doing projects, internships, whether you are working, whether you've been involved in community service, that should be very clear in the resume. Resume must start from the present and move back in reverse chronological order. But there is no need to mention gaps in your SOP. Sometimes you can use the optional essay or other information section in the portal to explain the gaps. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you. We have another question from Sumit. Is SOP is good? Can average GRE be neglected?
Unfortunately, not, Sumit. Depending on the university's ranking and position, GRE scores are considered. If the university is top ranked, definitely GRE and academic background and academic scores will matter. SOP is an additional factor. SOP is something that will be the clinching factor when other factors have been considered. It will never be the only factor. So GRE scores will matter, academic background will matter, your practical exposure will matter, scores will matter. But definitely an SOP will be the clinching factor when all those things, suppose Tushar and I are applying and our backgrounds are similar, we have similar scores, maybe we are both working at Cognizant and we have both passed out of VIT Vellore. In that case, if my SOP is better, maybe I will get the admit and not Tushar. Otherwise, GRE scores cannot be neglected. Hope that answers your question.
Right. So I guess Atang want to speak with you, but yeah, Atang want to speak with you. So Atang, kindly unmute yourself so that you can ask the question directly to Rohini.
Yeah, hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, Atang.
Perfect. Hello, ma'am. Well, you answered my question. I just want to thank you. The thing was, my question was regarding the gap year, and the gap was specific. It is not an academic gap. I gave my GRE last, like this January, and received a score of 315. But I chose to not to go to a university. I received an admit from University of Texas Arlington. Rather than that, I am going to do some specific certifications regarding some languages. My background is a brief about myself. My background is CS, and right now I'm doing an internship in a local organization in my city. So should I mention all of that in my SOP? In what way should I mention? You answered that, but anything more?
No, you should mention all this in your SOP. If you're doing any certifications, etc., that can come under the practical exposure section. But the gap should not be mentioned specifically in the SOP. You can use the other information section on the portal.
Okay, ma'am. Got it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so
Specifically
much, sir.
say that there is a gap in my academic background, that there's a gap in my workings.
Okay.
Thank you
It
so much.
basically presents you, in a bad light. And why would we want to present ourselves in a bad light? We always want to highlight our strengths and downplay our weaknesses. Or
Yes,
gray
yeah,
areas
ma'am.
for that matter.
Yes, ma'am. Got it, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Perfect.
So,
Thank you so much, Atang, for your question. We have another question from Sandeep. Can you provide draft copy, SOP, resume, and the statement of purpose?
for that, you will have to speak to one of our counselors and enroll as a student. And definitely, we would provide you all the support, all the help. And also, Sandeep, just for your information, for all partner universities at Shiksha, the editorial process is free for the students. You get a free edit for all your documents. You do not have to pay anything once you've enrolled.
Right.
So you can take up the services of our editorial team, which is made up of highly trained and experienced editors who will help you draft your SOPs, resumes, and LORs.
So Sandeep wants to speak with you. Sandeep is the hand. Sandeep, kindly unmute yourself so that you can ask the question directly to Rohini.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Sandeep. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, ma'am. Should I mention my Duolingo score in resume?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Should I mention my Duolingo score in resume?
No, no need to mention Duolingo score in the resume. No.
Okay.
In fact, Duolingo score comes only in the visa SOP, Sandeep.
Okay.
It will neither come in the resume nor in your academic SOP.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
In the visa SOP, there is a section where we talk about competency, language competency, where people
Okay.
mention their Duolingo or IELTS scores.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, for your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Before we are taking other questions, again, I'm requesting all the students, those who want to speak with Rohini, kindly click on the raise hand button on your screen so that you can ask the question to expert. So Rohini, we have another question from Astos. Letter of recommendations required for admission in MS.
Ashutosh, what is your question? I don't follow.
Okay, so let me repeat the question. Letter of recommendations required for admission in MS.
So I have the question open in front of me, Tushar. What I'm trying to understand is whether he's asking whether they are mandatory or not. If I'm understanding correctly, Ashutosh, then I will answer that question. Yes, universities require generic letter of recommendations. If you're applying to more than one university, the same LORs are sent. You don't have to create separate LORs for different universities. So suppose you create 3 LORs, the same 3 LORs can go to all 5 or however many universities you're applying to. Some universities ask for 2 LORs, some ask for 3. That is why usually applicants prepare 3 LORs. And yes, LORs are required for admission in MS.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question, though I'm not really sure what you were asking. If you have something else in mind, you can always speak to me during this session and we can clarify.
Right. So again, I'm requesting all the attendees kindly put your question in a Q&A section, and those who want to directly ask the question to Rohini, please click on the raise hand button so that we can unmute you and you can ask the question to the Rohini. Okay, so we have another question from Abhishek Shah. From where could we find application fee waiver?
So let me answer these 2 questions in one go, Tushar. There's a question from Ashik Matthew.
Right.
What universities is Shiksha partnership to? And Abhishek's question is from where we could find application fee waiver. Both these questions are counseling related, for which you need to drop a call on our toll-free numbers and you will get a call back from a trained counselor who will be able to give you absolutely correct guidance.
Right. So we have 14 attendees right now. Anybody want to speak directly to Rohini? Kindly click on the raise hand button. So let's wait for next 1-2 minutes. If anybody have any questions so that we can answer them.
Sure.
If not, we can close this webinar. So in meanwhile, Rohini, for this webinar, any conclusive point would you like to tell to our audience, those who are watching this webinar?
So the most important thing that I can cover today to summarize this webinar on how to create a winning application is to be, first of all, true to yourself. Don't tell any lies in your application ever. Write an honest application. Write a short and crisp application. Don't copy from friends or online samples or seniors. That doesn't help your case at all. Just be true to yourself. Present your profile to the best of your ability, sticking to specifics. When it comes to resume, always try to quantify the impact of your actions. So instead of saying something like social media manager for XYZ company, talk about the impact your work has had. You know, say you have raised the visibility of the company 2x or 3x, or you have that many more followers now for the company's social media platforms. Always talk about the impact of your action rather than your job roles. Same applies to SOP. Talk about impact. Quantify the impact in numbers. How much profit did you achieve? How many man hours did you save? What processes did you create? What innovation did you do? What were your leadership roles? If you were leading a team, what was the size of the team? So these are some of the things that can really raise the level of your application to create a winning application. And stick to the facts. Never try and falsify information. Remember, AdCom is made of skilled senior level professionals. They are seeing thousands of applications in every intake. They can immediately catch the real from the fake. And the higher level profiles from the lower rung ones. So be true, be honest, present your profiles clearly, concisely, avoid generics, and I think that will help you create a winning application. Beyond that, if you want a truly winning application, we are here at Shiksha to guide you. You just have to call or contact us on the website. Once a counselor contacts you and you initiate the process, once you've shortlisted your universities and you have decided your exact course, you will be handed over to our editorial team and we will help you create an application from scratch. And we end only when we give you a finalized finished product, which you can directly upload on the university portal. We take away all your headache and effort. And that is the best advice I can give you, is to come to us and we help you out.
Thank you so much, Rohini, for this session. And before we wrap up this webinar, I would request for more information. You can visit our website, studyabroad.shiksha.com. And also you can follow our social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for the latest update about the studying abroad. Stay happy, stay safe. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. Bye-bye and take care.
It was very nice speaking to all of you. Have a nice evening.